Welcome to the Deadlifts and Pizza podcast, where we discuss no BS fitness and nutrition.
We're your hosts. I'm Laura.
And I'm Jamie.
Let's get into it.
All right, I made a mistake on the last episode.
Dun, dun, dun.
No, I am extraordinary. No, sorry, exceptional. I still make mistakes sometimes. But what makes me exceptional is I own up to those mistakes. So I was reading the men's chart.
It's time to right the wrongs.
So I was reading this isn't a big deal, but I was reading the men's resting heart rate instead of the women's for the chart.
Last week.
For age.
On last week's episode.
Yeah. So for women, age 36 to 45, we are recording these back to back. So it's just easy to just do right now.
So it happened 5 minutes ago.
It happened 5 minutes ago, but for you guys.
For you listening.
It was a week.
It's been a week.
Otherwise,
last
I probably wouldn't remember to correct
Laura
this.
said the resting heart rates and where they should be for your age range, right? But she was reading off the men's chart by accident.
Yes. So 36 to 45 for women is 54 to 59 is athlete, 60 to 64 is excellent, 65 to 69 is great, and 70 to 73 is good. So you're close to athlete status.
I got to find what my actual is, but I think it's low 60s. So I got my test results back. from that doctor's appointment.
Get your bone mineral density and stuff?
Yes. So I went to a Korean hospital because I live here in South Korea, and my husband and I got a checkup, and a checkup in Korea is like everything under the sun: EKG, bone mineral density, mammogram, blood draw, stool sample. They go through every little thing of your health. And then I literally got a booklet. This is my booklet. I'm holding it up, of all of my stuff. And they also sent a PDF. And so what I thought was interesting, talk about ChatGPT, we were talking about that last week, is I got the PDF. I got a text basically that was like, your things are ready. Here's how to access them. Of course, it's all in Korean. Of course, the website's all in Korean. Of course, Google Translate wouldn't translate it. So I'm holding up my phone, translating what it says on the screen. Download my PDF. It's completely in Korean. It's totally in Korean. So I was holding up my translator on the PDF on my screen, through my phone, so I could read it. And then when I read something that I didn't quite understand, I would then go into ChatGPT and be like, what is this? What is norm? What is whatever? And it was telling me. And then I was like, well, hold on, because it was the bone mineral density stuff. There was a chart. So I just screenshotted the chart, even though it was in Korean, and I put it in ChatGPT. I was like, this is in Korean. Can you interpret this for me? And it was like, oh yeah, no problem. And it told me all the stuff. And then I was like, wait a sec. I literally asked it, can I upload a PDF that's completely in Korean? And can you summarize it for me? And it was like, absolutely. So I just dropped my PDF into ChatGPT, and it was like, here is a complete summary. Here's the good. Here's things you might want to be concerned about, but also not really, because they're right over the line of what the number and it just totally, it was amazing.
That's what it's good for. That is
I was
example.
What world am I living in?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Nutty. And then the next day I get a delivery on my front stoop of my booklet, and lo and behold, my booklet is all in English. So I thought that was very nice of them to take me into consideration and translate this for me. I thought that was very nice. I'm always I'm proud of myself for this, because I think there's a lot of people who have this subconscious expectation that everybody speaks English, especially in America. They just assume that you should speak English, and if you don't, there's something wrong, or if you speak minimal English, that's your problem. I don't know. I feel like that's a lot. And then when people travel, there's this, people will be annoyed, oh yeah, they don't even speak English. And I'm like, you're in fucking China. Why are you mad about that? It is so confusing to me. I am just always so grateful and a little almost embarrassed, but very grateful when somebody speaks English.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
when I went to the doctor yesterday to check for my whatever's going on, I was fully prepared. I had all my symptoms written down in Korean. I had it on my notes. I was ready. And then I have my translator open so we can ask questions back and forth. I am ready. And then I have my basic Korean that I can use to be polite in the beginning. And then I'm ready. And she just starts, she read my things and then she just kind of was like using English with me. And I was just like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. That is so sweet of you. We can use the translator, but that's probably easy for you. Anyway, I just appreciate it.
Yeah. No, I
So my
don't.
booklet
Yeah, I
is in
agree
English.
with you. I don't have that. It's like an entitlement kind of
Yeah,
mentality of like
it is.
everyone's. Yeah.
I'm like, do you have any idea how lucky you are to have been born into a country where English is your main language? I was like, that's literally, do you realize that there are literally every country you go to, you will meet people that speak English?
Yeah.
Like, so you will find them. Like, do
Yeah.
you realize how lucky you are to have that? Not to mention the other countries around the world. I think we are like one of the only ones, maybe the only one, but that can't be true, that it is more common to only speak one language. Like almost every other country in the world, their kids know 2 or more. They start learning 2 or more languages from the get-go.
Yeah. I wonder if that's because
Wild.
The United States is so big that we don't travel outside the United States as much as other people in other countries do. Whereas like if you live in like Europe, there's so many countries that like you just go to, people travel outside their countries more often. So you're probably more likely to want to learn other languages. Whereas here we're kind of like in our own little bubble. Like when people
I don't think that's the reason.
Because the reason we don't learn other languages?
So you're saying that could be the reason why we don't, but that's not the reason why other people do.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I think the reason why other people do is because of the amount of people who speak English that travel in their countries, number one. So I think that in places where there's not a lot of languages spoken among people, it's usually their language and English. So they're learning English in school and then they're learning their language. Because if you know English, especially in countries that are not as wealthy or stable, if you know English, you automatically have a huge leg up because you can work in so many industries and be able to help others, and you instantly can like get a job. And so I've met people in other countries that have never left their country. Remember that guy I told you about in Cambodia? He didn't even know what cold air felt like because he always lived in Cambodia. And even in December, it's like 90. I was like, you literally don't know what it feels like to have frigid cold air on your skin. He spoke excellent English and like 2 other languages.
Okay, that makes sense. So I was just thinking because I know like when people come here from other countries, they're always like, I get it now. I understand why you don't leave because you have everything here where your country is massive. Like they don't realize how big our country is and you get so many different things here. So we don't travel as much outside of it.
I think it's also there's not a lot of need to, because if you know English, like one story that I remember that highlights this for me is when we were living in Germany and my kids went to a German school and the teacher spoke German. Of course, it's a German school. I didn't expect her to speak English. We got very lucky. She did know a little English. So I was able to have basic conversations with her in English. And I also learned German. So we were able to kind of go back and forth between the two. There was another child in her class who was from China. And he was also learning German. He was at the same level of learning German as my daughter was, but they only knew Chinese, some other language, and broken German. But the dad knew a little English because he was a businessman. So he had to dig deep in his brain and find English to communicate with the teacher because that was their common language.
Yeah.
And that, like, I'm trying to imagine like being in a position where, and I guess I was that one time. I think I told you the story when I was in Vietnam and I met this little Vietnamese woman who we were using my translator app to talk because I don't know a lick of Vietnamese. But then she just randomly said something to me in German. It's almost like she was just throwing stuff at a wall and seeing what stuck. And she was like, maybe I'll speak German and see. And I know enough German to talk, to have a conversation. And I was like, what? You speak German? And so we then continued carrying on the conversation with German, but it was so hard. I had to dig deep and I had to really stop and pay attention. It was hard. So like being in such a privileged position where English is your language and everywhere you go, you'll find somebody that speaks English.
When I worked at Home Depot, so where I live, there's a lot of Spanish speaking people. When I worked at Home Depot, there was this older woman and a little girl. I don't even know how old she was. She was pretty young, like 7. I don't know how old she was. And her mom was asking me questions. So her mom came up to me and started talking to me in Spanish. And I'm like, right. But then the little girl like translated it for her and started speaking like perfect English. And then she would speak back to, I don't know if it was her mom or grandmother in perfect Spanish. Well, I would assume it's perfect Spanish. It sounded like, you know, whatever. I don't know what perfect Spanish sounds like, but I just thought it was like so, I admire it, like just how well she was able to do both. And I just thought that was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
When people can do that, because I don't have that skill. That is not something I am elite at. I don't know how to speak other languages.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had that one. Yeah, a lot of times. And it is very interesting. I remember the first student that blew my mind was a student that knew, what do they speak in Pakistan?
No idea.
Urdu? There's some language that I'm not very familiar with. He spoke that. He also spoke German because his mom was Pakistani and his dad was German, and he spoke English. And I was mind blown. I could not believe it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. And then I had kids, and I wouldn't say, and this is where like I look back now and I'm like, well, I don't really know how fluent he was in all of those. I know he knew a little bit, but like I was just assuming to speak a language is to speak a language, but maybe he didn't really speak them as fluently as he did English. I actually bet that that's probably the case. So then I have kids and they speak, well, they don't speak German really anymore, but they did. They were like pretty fluent in German. And then they also spoke Spanish and then they also spoke English. I was like, holy crap. My kids are that kid that I was like blown away by.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
So let's get to your results though.
Yeah, so I'm not going to go through every single thing in this booklet, obviously, but there was, I'm very excited to just have these results and have all of this like information. But my bone mineral density, I was very interested in. And I don't think the numbers really matter because I don't totally understand these numbers. But I will say that the results were, and according to ChatGPT's summary, I am definitely better than I think it was like 70% of people my age or something like that. Somebody's ringing my doorbell and I'm pretty sure it's somebody to check the gas meter.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's funny because downstairs just now, this woman arrived to check the gas meters. Of course, she's Korean. And so we usually speak very little. The people that come for stuff like that usually don't speak very much English at all. So little stuff. But to say goodbye in Korean, there's 2 ways to say it. You can either say it as the person who's staying put and the other person is leaving. So you're staying and they're leaving. So you wish them like good leaving time. And if you're the person leaving, you say it slightly differently because you're kind of wishing that person a good staying time. And so, and it's 안녕히 계세요 or 안녕히 가세요. And
very
so it's
similar.
it's ga or gay in the middle. And when they say it fast, I can't really tell. So I'm always like, 안녕히 계세요. Like, I'm just like, 안녕히 계세요. Like, I just say it real fast and they don't really know. But as she was, then 감사합니다 is thank you. So I always just say 감사합니다. And she was like, oh, 감사합니다. And then she goes, 안녕히 계세요. Like she said it very like slow. And so then I was like, she wants me to like say it back and I have to say it the right way. So I was like, so I made a show to know. And I just looked at her confused and I was like, and I pointed to myself and I was like, 안녕히 계세요. And she was like, 아니요, 안녕히 계세요. And she was showing like, I'm leaving. And I was like, okay, 안녕히 가세요. And she was like, 네, 안녕히 계세요. Like, I was like, oh my gosh. She's literally like trying to pull me into a lesson right now.
Oh, well.
And I'm ready. I'm ready. So languages. All right, good stuff. So yeah, my bone mineral density was essentially, it was high. And I feel very proud of that.
That's good.
Yeah. And I need to understand these numbers a little better because there's definitely like an average, and they took it at the neck, they took it at the hip, and they took it at the lumbar spine. So I thought that was very interesting, but I'm happy about that.
Yeah, that's good.
My body fat was 25, which I actually am surprised at. I thought it was low. Well, I'm not surprised because my scale's been telling me that, but I think I look like I'm lower.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any thoughts about this one. I want to look into it a little bit more because the whole cholesterol thing has been like, it's kind of like debatable right now. Mm-hmm. Like, is high cholesterol really something to be concerned about? So my total cholesterol is 220.
Yeah.
And the goal for total cholesterol is no higher than 200.
Okay.
However, my quote unquote good cholesterol, which is HDL, is excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Like excellent. I think it's 40 to 1,000 is recommended, and mine's 90.
Yeah.
So it's super good. And then my LDL cholesterol is in range. But I guess when you add those together, that's total cholesterol.
Yeah. Right? Wait, what was your other one?
Yeah, 122 is
Yeah.
LDL. And the range is 0 to 130. So my LDL is fine. My HDL is excellent.
So
when you add them together, you get a total
nothing,
cholesterol of
then.
220.
Total is stupid because if your one is supposed to be higher, right?
Well, if my LDL cholesterol was lower, my quote unquote bad cholesterol, then my total cholesterol would be a lower number.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
but my LDL cholesterol is still in range of what they recommend.
Yeah, so I wouldn't worry about the total. The total isn't important.
Yeah. I mean, I logically, but it's highlighted in red, like they, and I don't know. So I want to do some research on this. Like, well,
I'm pretty sure it's not that important.
Yeah. Anyway, good stuff. I'm excited.
Yeah.
About that. Okay. Lots to cut out there.
Yeah.
You got anything, or you want to do Q&A?
I just wanted to ask you how your short workouts are coming.
Well, like crap this week because I haven't been able to work out at all.
Oh,
because I haven't been feeling well. Yeah. Oh. And it's weird because this is where I realized it was bronchitis, and I'm like definitely getting better now. But when I'm feeling like okay, like when I take Dayquil and my energy's, it was awful for like one day, but then it was fine the next day. And I just chased my son around the dining room table, and the bottom of my throat was like burning, like there's a fire there just from that. And then I started to notice too, every time I go walk outside to go pick up my kids from the bus stop or walk this dog or whatever it was I was doing, my throat would burn. And I just thought it was the air outside. I was like, I guess it's the air for some reason. It's irritating me. Maybe the allergies are high. Maybe the air quality is not good. But then, of course, ChatGPT, when I broke all down my symptoms, was trying to figure out what's going on. Basically, if it's low in my throat like that, it means those airways are inflamed. And it said even walking can like inflame them, just a little bit raise in heart rate, which sucks because when I'm not working out, I at least want to keep my steps high. My steps were like 3,000 yesterday because I was like, nope, I'm just going to chill. I really need this to get better. I went to Taekwondo, but I told him, I was like, I can't do any exercise. He goes, okay, just warm up. I was like, I'm not even going to run around the room. Like nothing. I just want to practice my forms and I want to go home. So, yeah.
Oh,
but to answer your question, I love them.
Yeah.
I love them. Yeah.
I do too. I'm enjoying it. It feels
good. It feels so easy to get into the gym knowing I only have to do 3 exercises.
Yeah. I'm doing 4. And my workouts will take a little bit longer. Well, they actually take like an hour because I'm doing so many compound exercises. And I'm doing more sets than 3. So it's not.
So they're not shorter workouts. So you're not doing shorter workouts.
They are though, because it's still less volume because I'm not, there's not like 500 exercises, like I'm doing 4 exercises. I don't get to the end and go, I haven't had one workout where I'm like, there's more, because it's still only 4 exercises. It's just that there's longer breaks because I have warm-up sets too for the compound exercises, So.
Well, I will say that I do one main lift and then like a quick superset after that. And the superset's still pretty intense. It's hard, but the main lift, I'm doing like 2 warm-ups and then 2 top sets and then 2 back off sets for volume. So that's 6 sets of squats, 6 sets of deadlifts. I mean,
if you're counting the warm-ups, right?
I'm counting the warm-ups because I'm not, in my own mind, empty bar doesn't count as a warm-up. I'll do I'll even do pre-warm-up. Like if I'm doing like empty bar and I'm just like for bench press and I'm just like literally warming up my muscles, but I'm using them as like I'm using the warm-ups as build up.
Still, those are warm-up sets though.
Yes, but they're still, I'm not saying they count towards working sets, but I'm saying they count towards my total exhaustion level.
Okay, got you. They don't for me. I can do like 500 anyway. If I counted my warm-up sets, I'm doing like 7. So I'll do like 3 warm-up sets and then
Mhm.
4. Yeah. But
yeah,
anyway,
I'm definitely enjoying it.
me too. And my pull-ups are getting better. I was able to do 7. How much weight did I do? Crap, I don't remember. Yeah, it was 17 and a half pounds. Was it? Strapped to me. And I was able to do 2 chin-ups, not pull-ups.
I was just about to ask that question.
Yeah.
I need you to use correct language.
Yeah, well, I did.
Because it very much affects what I think I have to then go do.
Oh, okay.
So I need you to make sure that you're saying chin-ups or pull-ups.
When I told you that I did 6 pull-ups, I did 6 pull-ups.
Nice.
Yes.
Not that nice.
I'm going to catch up to you. I will. It will happen.
Well,
because
what's the goal?
I don't know. How many can you do?
That's the question. Is it how many you can do in a row?
Yeah.
So, okay. I need to figure out how many I can do in a row is.
And real ones, make sure you hang all the way down.
Yeah.
Full extension.
What about a little bit of frog leg in the middle?
Yes, that's allowed.
You can do a little frog leg.
Because it's really hard to limit, like if you little kick, oh, did that count? Did that not count? It's a little bit harder to judge, right? So yeah,
you know what I would say? Tell me if you agree with this. 1 frog leg in the middle is fine. But as soon as it becomes 2 frog legs,
sounds
out.
Good. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's the rule.
All right. All right. I'm glad we're in agreement.
If you're kicking up there, yeah, no.
If you do 1 frog leg and it gives you a 1/4 of an inch of height and you have to keep frog legging, no, man, that's bullshit.
No.
Doesn't count.
And then the other day we had like a pull-up party, chin-up party. Okay. In here with me, Caleb, Wayne, and we were all doing them. Like I would do them, and then Caleb.
How
would
many
do
pull-ups can Wayne do?
He only did like 3.
Okay.
Yeah. I was only doing 3 because it was my that's the
chunk it up day.
Yeah. So, but it's funny how much easier they are and how I can like when I do chin-ups, like I'm bringing my chest all the way up there and like flying up there.
Yeah, same.
I feel like I have so much more control and I'm so much better. I think it helped me a lot doing the chest to bar pull-ups that I was doing with the band. So I used a lighter band this week. And I just fly up there and get really high. Yeah.
That last 1/4 of the movement is very hard. And if people don't spend time really trying, even if you have to use a band and not, whatever, then that impacts you. I think that's really important.
Mm-hmm.
Good job. All right. We had 2 good questions in the Facebook group this week that I thought would be great to talk about.
Okay.
And then I have some others as well. You responded to this one already, but it'd be good to talk about. They said, when doing multiple reps of deadlifts, are you going back down to the floor with the bar, resetting, and then pulling up on each rep? Or are you holding onto the bar and only going part of the way down? Does this make sense?
Yeah, this is actually, when I first started lifting, this was a question I had too. I'm like, what's the difference between a Romanian deadlift and a regular deadlift? I don't understand.
Can I interject and say the way, so what I first thought she was asking versus what it turns out she's actually asking, because what she's saying is, do you put the bar down, reset, and then do it again? Or do you hold on to the bar and only go part of the way down? So she's describing a Romanian deadlift. So she's describing 2 different exercises. What I thought she meant was like touch-and-go deadlifts. People they go all the way to the bottom, but they don't release their muscles and then reset their muscles. And before they lift off the ground, they just touch and go and touch and go and touch and go. That's what I thought she was asking. But maybe we can answer both.
Okay, yeah. So if you're doing a conventional deadlift, a sumo deadlift, any kind of actual real deadlift, I don't know what to call it, real deadlift, like a... because a Romanian deadlift isn't a real deadlift because you're not deadlifting it off the ground.
Right.
So
it's a variation.
Yeah.
If you're doing like a classic deadlift, you're going to set it all the way down onto the ground, reset, and then do your next rep pull up. Romanian deadlift, it shouldn't touch the ground. Some people do if they have really good mobility, but most people aren't going to be able to do that. And there are some where you touch the ground, but
for most people, you're going to stop somewhere around mid shin, somewhere around there, and hang there, not set it on the ground, reset.
Yes. So she, yes, she's describing like Romanian deadlift.
Yeah.
What some people do is they do like touch and go deadlifts.
Mm-hmm.
And I am not a fan of touch and go deadlifts. Every once in a while, I'll do them if it's like my warm up set. And I just notice I don't really need to completely reset and I can just kind of keep going. But in general, the purpose of a deadlift really is to lift dead weight off the ground and try to get as strong as possible. We've talked about that before. Deadlift is like the best exercise for training total body strength. And when you are touching and going, you can't do as much weight as you could do if you reset every time. You just can't. You can't maintain the tension you need to just touch the bar on the ground and keep going. So if you're touching and going, guaranteed you can do more weight. And so I believe, why not just do more weight and then reset each time?
I'm thinking about this for a minute. So the reason I don't like them is because I think your form can break down. So if you're like
that
somebody
was going to be my second thing. Yep.
Who's really good at deadlifts, there's benefits to doing touch and go deadlifts, but I not very like I rarely ever do that. But your form can break down, and if you're not going to be as tight, you're not going to be able to stay. I don't like it. I don't like doing them that way. But the other thing is, so yeah, technically, I think you could. It depends, because the touch and go, when you set the bar on the ground, you're taking the momentum out of the lift. So if you touch and go, you might actually be able to do more weight by doing it that way, because you have more momentum. You're going down and then back up, down and back up. Like it's kind of like a squat where you're like pausing at the bottom and coming up. It's not the same because you have that tension at the bottom. With the deadlift, you're not going to have that, but it takes the momentum out. So each time you have to reset up and pull it from a dead stop instead of bouncing it off the ground. Does that make sense?
Theoretically, but there's no way in practice that I can touch and go with like 230 pounds.
I don't know.
Theoretically that makes sense, but in a deadlift, it doesn't work in practice.
I don't think I could, because it's more of a like, I'm out of breath. Like, I don't know, like just not taking that second.
So that one rep is so taxing.
Yeah.
That I have to put it down, take a bunch of breaths.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then completely reset. So it's too heavy to be able to even feel what that momentum boost would feel like, because I can't. I need like a couple deep breaths, and you can't do that if you're doing touch and go.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I would like. I need the it would. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I can see both, but either way, it's better to build up that like strength by resetting.
For sure.
That strength that you're trying to build.
All right. Next question was, can we please talk about cardio and weights? I've read to do cardio after weight training, and today I gave it a go, thinking it would be an easy swap. 2 minutes on the treadmill after weights, and I thought I was going to collapse. Not quite what I was hoping for. So the first thing I think with this question is, you don't have to do cardio after weights. If you're going to do cardio at the same time then that you do your weights, it is better to do it after. But the way this question was phrased made me think that this person thinks you should just do cardio and weights in every workout, and then the cardio should be after the weights.
So yeah, I usually say the one that you do first is the one that you care about the most. So most people care about, and
your energy is going to go towards that.
Yeah, but if your main goal is to get better at cardio, you should do that first, even if you're weightlifting. Like if your main goal, for example, if you wanted to improve your VO2 max and that is your main goal, then you should do the cardio first, weight second. Most people, though, it's going to be weights first, then cardio. But you don't have to do it on the same day. You could do it on different days. I like doing it on different days. I don't like combining them together.
I was gonna say, if you are in a position where now all of a sudden you're like, oh, what is my main goal? I want to get better at both. Then I would say, then yeah, you should separate them.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't do them on the same day. And if you do them on the same day, separate them. Like do one in the morning and do one later in the evening. If you need to add, if you're in a position where you want to add extra cardio into your days, maybe it's like, all right, I'm already at the gym, I just want to get it all done. Then you're going to have to pick, right? Which do I want to focus on more? Usually I recommend weights because strength training, in order to get stronger, you really need to progressive overload, and you need to, but you technically need, yeah, you're right. You need to be able to do that if you want to if you want to focus on getting better at cardio, you need to be able to do that too. So whatever you do first, the point is that whatever you do first is where the majority of your energy is going to go into. And you're not going to have as much reserves left after. So keeping that in mind, typically it's recommended to do the cardio after, because most people are trying intentionally to get stronger. And if you are trying to improve your cardio as well, then maybe, but I don't know, because you can do you can do HIIT training, especially on an upper body day. You could do some sprint intervals after strength training on the treadmill and still and be able to perform and do that.
I've done it before. Yeah.
And the risk isn't as high. So let's say you are a little wiped because you did your strength training. You're less likely to get injured than if you're wiped going into strength training.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
So I still would recommend strength training first, but ultimately I would say, like, if you're going to do cardio after, it's best to do something that's just, light if you want to add some extra steps or whatever, but you also don't have to. All right. Those are some great questions. I have a couple more, but on the last episode where we talked about VO2 Max, you missed the part of telling people what's the best way to improve VO2 Max.
I know. I'm the one who just told you that. Like, you're acting like...
I feel like we should put... I know. You're the one that told me.
Sorry. I don't mean to yell
feel like
at
we
you.
should put a to be continued on that one.
To be continued. We should. Because I already talked about something else I messed up. I'm just really dumb at nighttime. I can't wait until we do this in the morning. And then I say that, and we're going to do it in the morning. I'm just going to be just as dumb. But
I'm going to point it out.
As an excuse, right?
You're just as dumb today as you were for those last 2 years.
So your VO2 max, the way you improve that, I mean, it's a very simple answer, but the way you improve that is by doing high intense exercises. So think of like high intensity interval training is a way you can improve your VO2 max. Any kind of like high intense cardio and things.
So all cardio will go towards improving VO2 max, but it's more so like if you're thinking of like a reward, like if you do like low intensity cardio, you get like a point towards your VO2 max. But if you're doing high intensity, you get like 7 points towards improving, right?
And it will improve it faster than anything else. Strength training will improve it too, but same thing, just not as much as.
Well, if you think about the formula to figure it out was to take your max heart rate and your resting heart rate. Yeah. And there's lots of ways to like improve your resting heart rate, which high intensity cardio is one of them. But the only way to improve how high, like your actual, like what kind of heart rate you can sustain at its max. Yeah. The only way to get that number higher is to push it to its max and spend time doing that, which is going to be through high intensity interval training.
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah. So there you go.
There you go. How's your answer?
Short pod today. Let's keep it there. Have some more really Q&A short. We can do. Yeah. Well, it's about 30 minutes. Last one was 45.
Okay.
And I have to go get this dog and I have things to do. And I'll cut that part out. I'm done with you. Have some more Q&A that we can do next week. And we'll see you then.
Bye.